I would like to turn it over to my colleague, Mike. Mike, welcome to the webinar.
Thanks, John. Thanks, everyone, for joining today. Appreciate your time. I have two more slides to go through, and then we're going to get into a live demo. But I just wanted to give you an overview of the components in a modern data estate. We're focused today on that box in the middle there that says Databricks Lakehouse, and that's what I'm going to be showing you. That is what's available on any cloud. Like this implementation, the peripheral services on security and management and under ingest are Microsoft Azure specific, but everything under the Databricks Lakehouse, what you're going to see today is the same as what you would see in an Amazon Web Services implementation or a Google Cloud Platform implementation. And what this is, it follows a standard architecture that's known in the industry as a medallion architecture. In layman's terms, that's basically extract my raw data and land it in the data lake. And that's my bronze layer. It's basically the source system data. It's a direct mirror. And then from there, you do the subsequent transformation. So it follows an extract, load, and transform pattern versus typical or traditional ETL patterns. And that gold layer, and that's my curated data. That's what all my downstream reporting and visualization tools are going to consume. That's kind of where the rubber meets the road and you get an integrated data model. So you could have tables in your gold zone that have attributes from your ERP system, have attributes from your CRM system, et cetera. That's kind of where the unification takes place. But from a machine learning perspective, that raw data has a lot of value because most data scientists will tell you, if I'm going to train a model, don't give me aggregated data. So these are some of the components that we're going to focus on. And we're going to talk a little bit about the governance capabilities in the Lakehouse, the data engineering capabilities, the advanced use cases around machine learning and AI, as well as the orchestration capabilities. So John, go ahead and hop to the next slide. It was interesting that the last poll, the one that got the most votes was integration with existing systems. These are some of the systems that we've worked with recently and that we have accelerators for. And really the point of this slide, it crosses several subject areas, human resources. We've done ADP, Paylocity, Paycom. On the ERP and financial side, we've got Sage Intacct, Dynamics 365, others. The operations side, it's been most of our clientele is manufacturing, consumer goods, and healthcare. So you see a couple of manufacturing execution or MES systems there. Aviva is a popular one. And then on the healthcare side, Athena Health, Advanced MD, Liberty for pharmaceuticals is one that we've worked with. CRM, we're a big Salesforce shop. We've also done on integrations with HubSpot and vTiger, as well as disparate SQL and Oracle and MySQL sources and flat file sources. We've done Ring Central for a company that was looking to do some call center analytics, which was an interesting project. But the point here is that, we haven't run into a source system or an API that we haven't been able to onboard in this technology. And I can tell you from, years of traditional data warehousing, the ability to integrate and wire up a Databricks workspace to these sources and have the power of being able to do Python is it's light years ahead of using a traditional ETL tool like an Informatica or an SSIS or even Data Factory in some cases, which we're starting to move away from, given now that we have all these pipeline and job scheduling capabilities right within the Databricks platform. So that being said, I want to jump into a live demo now. I'm going to share the screen, so bear with me while we transition this over. And you should be able to see a Databricks workspace here momentarily. John, if you can just give me a thumbs up in the window that you're seeing it. Okay. So you might be asking yourself, why is he showing me the Databricks workspace? I'm a business person. I'm not an engineer. Why would I ever be in here? But the reason I wanted to bring you in here today is because we're seeing a shift and an increase in the trend that organizations are democratizing and enabling self-service and opening up the workspace to business users and operational decision makers to self-serve and do their own exploratory analysis. And I'm going to show you some new AI-driven features in here that people are leveraging out of the box to answer questions about their data, to build visualizations without writing a single line of code. Some pretty powerful stuff that they've released. But just kind of walking through this environment, we've got a catalog we can browse in here. And what I've done is brought in some sample publicly available data sets around weather, New York City taxi cab data, a generic sales order manufacturing type use case. And basically I can just browse these tables and query them just like I could in a traditional data warehouse. What's amazing about this is that this is all binary files under the hood. So in layman's terms, it's about 1/20th the cost of storage in this format versus what you would be paying on a SQL data warehouse or an Oracle data warehouse. So that in and of itself makes it much more powerful to scale to large data sets, because trying to onboard terabytes and petabytes into a relational database just isn't feasible. So this is just the lay of the land here. And one of the key components, there was an interesting question I saw come up in the chat. If you've got D365 or O365, does Fabric make more sense? I want to be clear that, we typically use Power BI as which is part of Fabric now, as our visualization tool of choice, or Tableau. We're not saying that that would be replaced by Databricks. That's kind of not a one-to-one. What we're talking about is the Spark workloads. Databricks was created and founded by the inventors of Apache Spark. That is the technology that Fabric is built on. That's what Snowflake is using for their Spark workloads. And what we're able to do, and why we think that Databricks is more appealing, aside from being more mature, is that you can really fine-tune the compute to be sized just to what you need and what you're going to use. Whereas Fabric is a bit more of an enterprise grade tool that has a tiered pricing structure. So as I move up the chain to each tier, it gets more expensive, and I can't fine tune it as well. And I actually am in a situation where I have to pay for more compute than I actually need. You don't have that problem, which I think this is why it's an appealing solution for small to mid-market businesses, which is typically where we work. So that's just, hopes that addresses the first question in the poll. I wanted to touch on that a little bit, but certainly, if you've already adopted Fabric, Microsoft usually catches up, and they're investing a lot of money into it. And either way, it's about the Lakehouse generic architecture, but most of our clients are running Databricks. So what I want to show you now is a relatively new feature called Genie, which is an AI-driven component here, and we're going to do some natural language querying of our data set. So what I've done is I've just created a simple example here. Oh, I'm sorry. I've got a simple sales order type data set. All I've done is ingested the raw tables. This is raw data. It hasn't been modeled in any way. It hasn't been related. It hasn't been transformed. Already, as soon as I bring this up, it's already inferring questions I may want to ask about it, because it's that smart. It's able to just profile this data and understand what it's about. So I'm just going to try to trick it and ask it some of my own questions here. So I'm just asking it, can you display a breakdown of order lines by nation and year? It's going to think for a few seconds, and then it should come back with a description of what it did, a table, and in some cases, a visualization that will show me exactly what's happening. So yeah, this report shows the number of order lines grouped by nation and year, combines the data from orders, customers, and nations to count how many order lines were placed each year for each nation. That's great. It lists the countries each year, number of order lines, gives me a little visualization down here, albeit a little bit busy, complete with tooltips without writing a single line of code. Now I'm just going to say, all right, this chart here is a little too noisy for me. There's too much here. Let's just distill it down to Canada, and I want to see it by month in a line chart. So I just throw that in there, and it should, assuming the demo gods are smiling, it should come back in a few seconds with the data set as well as the line chart that I requested. So again, very powerful. And as you can see, it took a couple seconds, didn't have to write any code. So just visualize yourself with sitting in your Lakehouse with your ERP data, your CRM data sitting side by side. All we had to do is onboard the tables, and business users can already start gaining insights through natural language from their data. I'm going to throw one more at it, a little more complex one that may make it think a little harder and longer. I'm just going to say rank the top 10 parts sold in 1998. And this should come back with the top 10 parts, hopefully by name. It's been, sometimes it comes back with the ID, and I got to do another iteration to say, no, I want the part name because I don't have all my parts memorized. And it should come back. And yeah, so you see how it came back with the part key. So this is great. Like, gives me my part counts. It tells me that part key 999512 is my top selling part. But now I don't know what part 999512 is. So I'm just going to tell it, please redisplay this using the part name instead of the part key. And it should fix it and tell me what the name of the best-selling part is, or the top 10 best-selling parts. It has the context of my previous prompt, right? Similar to like Chat GPT, right? Like I didn't have to say, restate, I want the top 10 parts stole. It knows that context, so it's conversational. And now I can clearly see that the steel, moccasin, violet, papaya, cyan is my best-selling part. Very cool stuff. And, you know, again, I could go all day on this. I'm happy to have a breakout if folks are interested in learning more. I want to be clear that all of these features that I'm going to go through, including this Genie, none of this you have to pay additional for. As soon as you spin up a Databricks workspace, which takes a matter of minutes in your Azure tenant, you have access to all of these features. I can't stress that enough. And it's all pay as you go. You don't have to make any upfront initial investment. So I really encourage folks that are looking to modernize their platform to consider spinning this up and kicking the tires on it. It is a tremendous platform. Now they've released another new feature, which is pretty cool. It's called AI BI. It's under this dashboards feature. I'm just going to start with an example of a dashboard that was built without writing a single line of code. And then we're going to build one ourselves. And I'm going to show you how easy it is. But this is pretty robust, right? I mean, it's on par with the visuals that you get in a Power BI or a Tableau. And I didn't have to write any code. So I can kind of, you know, slice and dice. It's reactive. And this was kind of the end result of some tweaking. But we're going to start from scratch. And I'm going to show you how to build one of these from scratch. So all I'm going to do here is say create dashboard. Okay, and it immediately kind of walks me through in a wizard-like fashion, like what I need to do. So I'm just going to click the data tab to get going. And say I'm not an engineer, I'm not a SQL developer, and I'm just going to say add data. I'm not going to write SQL queries. Let's just add some data. I'm going to come out here to my sample data set. Let's just do one with AccuWeather for the time being. And I'm just going to grab the daily weather information in imperial units. So just a single table here just to get started and to demonstrate this. This is going to run a query for a few seconds, bring in the data, and now I can jump back to my canvas here and move and start creating visualization. So what I'm going to do is just click this button here, drop this on the form, and then I'm going to start asking it to display some data. It's probably going to remember some of the ones that I asked it already. Yeah. So I'm just going to do average daily temperature by city as a line chart. Let's see what it comes back with. Should take a couple seconds, hopefully not much longer. It should be pretty quick. And then there you go. So I've got my average temperature on my y-axis, my time series on the x-axis, and each city as a line item in here. So let's keep going. Let's just do a couple more. And, you know, as you can see, I didn't have to write a single line of code to do this. So let's just do, I'm going to just do something different here. Predominant wind direction by city. Let's see what it does there. This should give me, yeah, it gives me a little bar chart here with my cities. And now say I don't want to do a bar chart. I just want to do a scatter plot. I can easily change that with a click of a button, pie chart, whatever makes the most sense. So hopefully you're seeing, you know, the ability to self-serve on this. It's really just a matter of getting the raw data into the lake, and then end users can actually start profiling and working with this themselves without having to rely on the IT department or a report developer to build them a data model and corresponding dashboard. Now, for some of the IT folks in the room, assuming we have some, you might be asking, well, what about my governance? So Databricks comes with a full catalog managed governance framework called Unity Catalog. And what this allows me to do is secure out anything in the catalog by either catalog, object, or even field level, right? Where I can restrict data for different groups of users. It's all controlled through Entra, or formerly Azure Active Directory. And so think of an example where I've got human resources data or payroll data living side by side with CRM and ERP data. Certainly, operational folks will be able to get employee information and employee roster counts, head counts, things like that. But we're not going to want everybody to be able to see sensitive compensation information, right? So this framework here, built in Unity Catalog, you can govern that accordingly and restrict out, different pieces of data from different groups of people, so that you can confidently and comfortably open this up to end users and know that you're not going to have a breach of sensitive information. So the governance capability is there, the self-service capability is there, and in addition, we can now do pipelines and schedule them right within Databricks. So traditionally, you saw on my architecture slide, we were using Data Factory. You might be familiar with traditional ETL tools like an Informatica or a Data Stage or SSIS. We can really do all of this internally now. And I can tell you from years of working with Data Factory, it has all the same logging capabilities, it's tracking throughputs. So the direction we're moving in is to move our pipelines into Databricks and to use the job scheduler within here. Again, comes back to that concept of a unified platform for all your data and analytics needs, kind of a one-stop shop, so to speak. Finally, what I wanted to talk to you about is all of the out-of-the-box models. When you get further along on that maturity curve, there are several popular large language models and predictive models available to you out of the box. So you can see here, I've got Meta's Llama 3, I got Mistral, Whisper, Chronos, all sorts of models that have been trained for thousands, if not tens of thousands of hours that you can start leveraging with your data. You can just come in here, start creating experiments, start training a model with your data day one. I mean, that's even light years ahead of where we were, 2-3 years ago, where you'd have to hire a data scientist and he'd have to code some machine learning algorithm in R in order to get going on this. And it would be, months and possibly years before you started getting any results. You get data onboarded, you could start training a model day one. So soup to nuts, this is a very comprehensive platform, and just wanted to this is really only scratching the surface. If any of you folks want to do a deep dive on any of this, don't hesitate to reach out. I'd be more than happy to meet with you and deep dive into this stuff and go from there.